Imagine hosting a World Cup on home soil and having the entire tournament structure designed around your path to the final. Imagine being placed in a group where every opponent must travel across a continent while your squad sleeps in the same beds every night. Imagine the most geographically advantaged schedule of any nation at the 2026 World Cup, and almost nobody outside the United States has noticed yet. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the USMNT's 2026 World Cup draw, and it is the hidden advantage that could carry a team ranked outside the top 10 into the deepest run in American men's football history. Let's get started. To understand what the United States has been handed, you have to understand what hosting a World Cup actually means in practical terms. The 2026 tournament spans 3 countries across an entire continent. 16 cities from Vancouver to Mexico City to Miami to New York. 48 teams navigating a logistical puzzle that has broken stronger squads than this one. The travel distances alone are unprecedented. England will travel nearly 5,600 miles in the group stage. Brazil face the second toughest schedule by composite load score. France stay in the northeast, which is its own kind of fortune. And then there is the United States, the host nation. And their schedule reads like it was written by someone who wanted them to succeed. The United States will play all 3 of their group stage matches in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. That is it. 3 matches, 1 city, 1 stadium, 0 travel. While every other contender is flying between Dallas and Boston and Kansas City and New Jersey and Toronto and Mexico City and Vancouver, the USMNT will wake up in the same hotel room on June 12th, June 19th, and June 25th. They will train at the same facility. They will eat at the same tables. They will sleep in the same time zone. In a tournament where the composite load score has already been rated as the most punishing in World Cup history for multiple nations, the United States has essentially been given a home stand. That is not an advantage. That is the definition of one, and the data backs it up with uncomfortable precision. Consider the travel comparison. The USMNT group stage travel distance is 0 miles. Their opponents will travel from their respective training bases across the continent just to reach Los Angeles. The recovery time between matches for the United States will be measured in full days of rest, while every visiting team in Group D will be processing flight fatigue, altitude shifts, and time zone adjustments. In the knockout rounds, the advantage continues. If the United States wins Group D, they stay entirely within the Western corridor. Los Angeles to San Francisco for the round of 32. San Francisco to Seattle for the round of 16. The longest journey they would face before the semi-finals is roughly 700 miles. For context, England travelled more than that between their first and second group stage matches alone. The physical advantage extends into something that is harder to measure, but arguably more significant. Home crowds in World Cup history do not simply cheer. They shift refereeing decisions. Multiple academic studies of World Cup tournaments have demonstrated a measurable home bias in foul counts, yellow cards, and stoppage time. A 2018 analysis published in the Journal of Sports Economics found that host nations receive on average 1.2 fewer yellow cards per match and commit 0.8 fewer fouls than visiting teams of equivalent quality. These are not rounding errors, they are the aggregate effects of 100,000 voices and a referee who is human. The United States will have that crowd in every match they play from the group stage through however deep this run goes. That has never happened for this program, not once in its history. The squad that will take the field under those conditions is not the best team at this tournament. Nobody is making that argument, but it is the best United States men's national team that has ever existed, and the gap between it and the previous best is not close. Christian Pulisic is 27 years old and in the prime of his career at AC Milan. He remains the attacking heartbeat of this team, a player who has delivered in big moments for club and country. His ability to create from nothing to arrive in the box at the exact moment the defense has stopped expecting him to arrive is the kind of quality that previous USMNT sides simply did not possess. Weston McKennie at 27 has become one of the most complete midfielders in Serie A. His engine, his physicality, his willingness to do the ugly work that makes pretty football possible is the kind of presence that changes the texture of a midfield battle. Reyna, at 23, arrives at this tournament with something to prove. Limited club minutes this season have not dimmed the creative spark that once made him the most hyped American teenager in history. Mauricio Pochettino backed him for this squad, and now the stage is set for Reyna to remind the world why. Tyler Adams, at 27, is the best defensive midfielder the United States has ever produced. He fought back from a serious injury scare to be ready for this tournament, and when he is on the pitch, the entire midfield shape changes. The depth is what separates this squad from every previous iteration. In 2014, the United States started a backline that included players from the English Championship and Major League Soccer and nothing else. In 2026, the squad includes Champions League regulars at multiple positions, players who have started knockout matches in Europe's biggest competition, players who train every day against the best footballers on earth and who have absorbed the specific kind of belief that comes from proving yourself at that level. This is not the United States team that overachieved in 2002 by reaching a quarter-final against Germany. That side was built on collective organization and an indomitable will to survive. This side is built on something more sustainable. Genuine individual quality distributed across every line of the formation. The kind of quality that does not require a miracle to produce a result. It just requires the circumstances to be right. And the circumstances for this team at this tournament could not be more right. The system Mauricio Pochettino has installed is designed specifically for the conditions this tournament will present. His approach blends high pressing with quick vertical transitions, the same principles that took his Tottenham side to a Champions League final. It does not require 60% possession to function. It does not require the opponent to make mistakes to create chances. It creates its own pressure, and it does so in a way that becomes exponentially more effective when the players deploying it have not spent the previous 4 days on an airplane. Pressing is the most physically demanding tactical approach in the sport. It requires coordinated bursts of maximum effort repeated across 90 minutes. A team that has travelled 5,000 miles in 10 days cannot press effectively by the third group stage match. A team that has travelled 0 miles in 10 days can. The USMNT system and the USMNT schedule are not just compatible, they are designed to amplify each other, and the rest of the tournament may not fully appreciate what that means until it is too late. The knockout bracket presents a path that is not easy, but it is there. Group D winners enter a Western corridor that avoids the tournament's major powers until at least the quarterfinals and potentially beyond. This is not a guarantee. Football does not offer guarantees. But it is a structural reality that the tournament format has created, and it is one that the data projections have not yet fully priced in. The analytics models that rate the United States as roughly the 15th best team at this tournament are the same models that rated England as roughly the second best team at this tournament. Those models are not wrong, but they do not account for the specific intersection of travel burden and recovery time and home crowd pressure and tactical identity that is aligned for this specific nation at this specific moment. There is one final element that sits underneath all of this, and it is the one that American football culture has spent decades trying to suppress. The 2026 World Cup on home soil is not just a tournament. It is the conclusion of a 30-year project to make football matter in the United States. The 1994 World Cup was the beginning. The creation of Major League Soccer in 1996 was the infrastructure. The arrival of David Beckham in 2007 was the signal. The growth of the American soccer pipeline across the last decade, the players who left MLS academies to compete in the Bundesliga and the Premier League and Serie A, has been the evidence. And now, in 2026, with a genuine generation of talent, a home tournament, and a schedule that reads like a gift, the United States men's national team will play football matches that matter in front of its own people. Not as an undercard to the rest of the world, as the main event. This is the moment American football has been waiting for, and it is not going to ask for permission. Hit the bell, and we will see you soon.